There's something uniquely terrifying about hearing a knock at your door when you know you live alone, especially when the knocking never stops. This story comes from a real 911 call placed in 2016. The woman on the other end was whispering, shaking. She said someone was standing outside her apartment door, staring at the peephole, and he had been standing there, motionless, for almost 7 hours. If you're into the kind of true horror that never gets covered on TV, hit subscribe now and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming. A 31-year-old woman named Dana had just moved into her new apartment in Louisville, Kentucky. She lived alone, worked night shifts, and usually slept during the day. But one morning, around 2:40 a.m., she woke up to a knocking sound. She figured it was a neighbor, maybe drunk, maybe lost. But when she checked the peephole, there was a man standing there. Not knocking anymore, just standing, head tilted slightly to the side, staring directly into the lens. She waited. 5 minutes. 10. He didn't move. She called security. They brushed it off. Said they'd check the hallway. They never did. The man remained there for 7 hours, never saying a word, never leaving. She eventually called 911. When police arrived and opened the door, he was gone. No trace. That's when they checked the hallway security footage. And what they found was worse than Dana imagined. The man wasn't just standing there. He was whispering something through the door, over and over, mouthing the words, "I know you're in there." And in one frame, frozen in time, he smiles, just once, before disappearing into the stairwell. The building had no record of him ever entering. His face didn't match any tenant or delivery logs. And the footage was mysteriously corrupted just 2 minutes after he left. So who was he? A stalker? A ghost? Something worse? And how did he know Dana's name? Which, by the way, he said once in the footage before it glitched. Let me know in the comments what you think he wanted, or if he's still watching. This audio recording was never supposed to be heard, but after a house fire in Pennsylvania, fire crews discovered something strange, a cassette tape labeled "For Help." It belonged to a 17-year-old babysitter, and what she recorded that night is one of the most chilling, true audio cases ever found. The year was 1993. Emma was babysitting 2 kids while the parents were out at a late dinner. She brought her tape recorder with her, planning to record a message for her school project. But what starts as an innocent monologue turns into a real-time document of terror. On the tape, Emma is heard talking casually until a sound interrupts her, a scratching at the window. Then silence. She laughs nervously, says it's probably the wind. But then there's a knock on the back door, one the family never used. Emma whispers, "I'm locking the doors. I think someone's outside." 10 minutes of static. Then, her voice again, "The basement light is on. I didn't turn it on." What follows next are panicked breaths, running footsteps, then a male voice, deep, distorted, almost playful. "You shouldn't have listened." Then the tape ends. When the parents came home, Emma was gone. The kids were asleep, untouched, unaware. Police never found signs of forced entry, no fingerprints. And Emma, never seen again. Was this a kidnapping, a home invasion, or something supernatural? Why didn't the intruder take the kids? And why did he leave the tape? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you're still watching, you're the kind of person who doesn't turn away from the truth, no matter how dark it gets. Like this video, subscribe, and support the stories no one else dares to tell. You've probably heard of the Russian sleep experiment. Most people think it's just creepypasta. But what if I told you? A real experiment took place in West Germany, 1977, with eerily similar results. And it was all hidden, until one nurse came forward. She claimed they kept 5 patients awake for 9 days straight, and on the 10th, they stopped acting human. Greta H., 24 years old at the time, was a nurse in a psychiatric hospital outside Frankfurt. She was instructed to administer a new wakefulness drug to 5 long-term patients. They were told it was for military research. For the first 3 days, everything seemed normal. Patients became talkative, energized, even euphoric. Day 4, they became paranoid. Day 6, violent. Day 7, one patient tried to claw out his own eyes, screaming that something was watching from inside his head. Greta wanted to quit, but security blocked all exits. No one was allowed to leave the facility. Day 9, the patients stopped sleeping altogether, not because of the drug, but because they claimed something would get them if they closed their eyes. Then came day 10. All 5 patients were found in a corner of the observation room, facing the wall, smiling. One spoke for the first time in 3 days. We're still awake, but we're not us anymore. What happened next is sealed in German archives, but Greta leaked a single photo before disappearing. 5 figures, skinny, bruised, eyes wide open, smiling like mannequins. The drug was never named. The experiment was erased from public record, but the photo still circulates in dark web forums, known only as wakeful_77.jpg. Was it real? Or an underground MK Ultra style test buried by governments? Some say the drug is still being tested in prisons, in psych wards, maybe even in the military. Would you stay awake if your mind was the cost? Sometimes kids disappear, and sometimes they're not missing, they're hiding, because something is chasing them. This case comes from San Antonio, Texas. A 10-year-old boy vanished while riding his bike near a storm drain tunnel. 48 hours later, he was found, curled up underground, whispering the same sentence over and over. The man with no face lives in the dark. August 2008. Lucas was a quiet kid, loved his bike, rode the same loop every day. One afternoon, his bike was found lying next to an open drain tunnel. No blood, no signs of struggle, just silence. A search team went into the tunnel system, but the deeper they went, the more disturbed they became. Graffiti lined the walls, handprints, numbers, and strange symbols. One rescuer swore they heard whispers in the dark. Lucas was found 2 days later, deeper than anyone thought possible, dehydrated, terrified, and unresponsive. When he finally spoke, he told his mother, "The man with no face kept asking me to come closer. He said if I touched him, I'd forget who I was." Police dismissed it as hallucination. But there's a twist. That same tunnel had been sealed off once before, in 1994, after 2 teenagers disappeared in the exact same spot. They were never found. Paranormal researchers examined the site. EMF levels were spiking. One camera shorted out for no reason, and thermal imaging caught something moving, even though the tunnel was completely empty. So what did Lucas see? A local legend? A predator? Or something no one wants to admit is real? Let me know in the comments. What do you believe lives beneath the city?